Hey, family, oneness, wholeness, and balance. What's up? Jesse Tree here. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Take a quick listen with me and for the Bee Symphony. Isn't that beautiful? I love the bees. I love spring. Greetings, welcome, family. Wait for a few other people to hop on here. Been away for the last couple Mondays for Juicing with Jesse, but showing up to represent. Gonna maintain this consistently, but really enjoying the time away from social media. Hey, there's Rajul's, one love. And some of the things I've been able to reallocate time for have been nurturing, been working with like the gateway process, for instance, and just sort of relocalizing my mind. This is something I want to encourage everyone to do, is take some time away from the overstimulation of social media. It's definitely nourishing, very nourishing to get away and get your mind sort of cleared from all the technological overstimulation. So, yeah, if you're not familiar with the gateway process, it's really interesting. It's been something that's been big on my mind lately, and another reason why stepping away from social media and EMF and spending time quietly listening to bees and not talking so much has been a blessing, is this concept I think that we're coming around to of ascension, collective ascension, as we're moving closer to galactic center and the sun is popping off more solar flares and all this energy. The Earth is spinning faster and the moon is moving farther away, and things are changing in a variety of ways. And so to it be present and mindful and adaptive to the changes is something I want to support people in. The tools of meditate, what I suggest are the tools of meditation, grounding, sun gazing. These things will harmonize the nervous system to all of these changes because they're happening electromagnetically on a massive scale. But it ties into this phenomenon. I've been listening to the telepathy tapes. I highly suggest it if you're just into consciousness and just the reality. And it's about autistic nonverbal children who have telepathic abilities. They can communicate with their parents or their teachers mind to mind. They can there was one little girl who knew like Portuguese, Arabic, and Egyptian by the time she was like 7, that she was taught from a consciousness field. So it's this thing of our collective consciousness awakening, and that we are all moving, we're all psychic, and we're moving towards that. And so my point about moving away from technology, this is a plagiarization and a distraction from our own bodies, which have this Wi-Fi-like connection with the cosmos. And that's what the pranic journey is about. Is really our objective should be greater consciousness, greater sensitivity, greater intelligence. Byproducts may be releasing food, clairvoyance, these kinds of things. So working with these gateway process tapes, they were developed by the Monroe Institute and the CIA for remote viewing. So I'm seeking to open this up more and talk less. So that's why I haven't been on here as much. I do love sharing with the community, but words can be words are etymologically related with swords, and there's sort of the parlay and the cutting up of reality, and people making points and argumenting with one, having argumentative conversations and debate, is very kind of healthful. It's one of the Buddhist practices in the Tibetan lineage of debate, to sharpen one's mind, to question, and those things are good. But if we were able to move to this realm of psychic mind-to-mind communication, there would be no obfuscation, there would be no ability to lie, mislead, we would have to come from a more pure place of heart. And I think this is something that's going to be opening up. It's definitely opening up with these kids, and it connects with me because one of my son, Jeremy, is autistic and quasi nonverbal. He has verbal tics, so he doesn't have he has a lot of the characteristics that these children have, and they tend to be extremely bright. I know that's the case with my son. He's really bright, but if you saw him from afar, you would think something was wrong with him because he's not in control of his body. He tics, he breaks things, he cusses, and it's people think it's him with a bad attitude, but it's actually his nervous system. So, I think the new Rich is going to be a healthy body and the ability to control our nervous system with intention, through vagal tone, through heart-centered prayer, through meditation, through ice baths, there's so many free tools available to us. So that's another way to regulate your nervous system, is jump into an ice bath, to even tap on your heart and do some positive affirmations like I am love, I am peace, I am joy, and just repeat that and tap on your heart, and it's a reminder of your true nature. So yeah, these gateway tapes are really fun because they use binaural beats to achieve the same states that we achieve in meditation. I'm gonna juice some clementines here for my juice. Today's juice, I'm gonna bring you in there for that momentarily. I'm gonna try and keep it short today, but just wanted to share where I'm at and what's going on with me and where I think things are headed. There's much confusion and consternation and collective upheaval, but there's also at the same time these kinds of openings that are happening, and it's always that situation of best of time, worst of times thing, and we can take advantage of the best of the times aspects by concentrating on them, focusing on them, and amplifying them with our intention, attention, and focus. So this is something that was part of my original draw to breatharianism and raw food lifestyle, permaculture, everything years ago, is moving back to that oneness vibration, and bliss awareness of connection and interdependence with all beings. And the control matrix, the technologies, the overstimulation if you look at even everybody's Instagram, I also want to get away from just talking about breatharianism and juicing. They're passions for me, for sure, but we have to also not identify so much with things like what we eat. Let's identify more with our more basic, fundamental human characteristics, shared values, compassion, intelligence, awareness, and grow these things. And here, listening to the bees reminds me, when I studied about this years ago, this ascension process is an inevitability that we are going through collectively, and it, like most growth processes, there's pain and struggle and trials in it, but what will emerge is a civilization that works like the bees. Let me turn you around here. You can maybe see my top bar beehive over there. I just went in there this morning and took a look at things, and the bees are looking healthy and happy, and they're definitely buzzing all around, and they work like they're a great example of breatharianism and the Solarian journey. because they are beings of the sun. On the one hand, they're golden. They make this golden nectar of honey. They buzz like the sun does, the ultra low frequency NASA recordings of the sun. The sun makes an ohm. It hums like a ohm, and that's what a hive does. And the queen is essentially the central nervous system of the hive, and the hive can, together with the queen, is like one body, and they work together as one. And that could be the human collective of a shared goal, thinking of ourselves as one consciousness, that's what I love about Rastafarianism, that concept of I and I. There is only one of us here, you and I, and the bees and the trees, and Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris and Elon Musk, and everybody are all one. And to judge leads us to pain. So this is the other practice I've been working with, is being attentive to the 8 worldly concerns of Buddhism. And these concerns are pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and disrepute, and praise and blame. So we're always trying to get one and go away from the other. And all of our striving and all of our worrying and all of our work towards those ends is futile. We have to go through both. Hey, there's Nabiha. One love, sister. Welcome to join if you want. Just chilling here in the garden a little bit, gonna make some juice. But yeah, so pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and disrepute, and praise and blame. We're always trying to avoid one or seek the other. And we can't always be praised. Sometimes we are to blame, to accept the responsibility, and make a change, and not to take it personally, not get offended. Gain and loss, always trying to, maybe you're friends with someone because you think they might help you, exceed in your business or something like that, and that is the wrong place to come from a relationship with. A loving kindness practice instructs us that your motivation in all relationships should be sort of a universal love that has no strings attached, and where you develop equanimity. You don't care what that person does. You know that you're gonna love on them. So, and you let go of the rest. So this is a challenge with our families, with our children, our spouses. We want to control out of a loving place, but it's really actually a self-grasping place. So learning to let these things go, throwing our ambitions into the wind, allowing the karmas are all self-resolving. Everything will sort itself out. If we quit meddling, we'll get just what we want. Pardon me. Been working in a dusty desert. And trusting and letting go and creating that openness of quietude for our nervous system to self-regulate, for the psychic abilities to develop. I really think we're all psychic, and I've been having this discussion with my friend Perry, but it relates to these telepathy tapes, is then these nonverbal children can't speak, and so when you practice non-speaking, the yogis all say this, your concentration sharpens and your psychic ability sharpens. You can read and feel energy. So there's a guy he's a raw food chef in LA, I think, who's famous, who has had a vow of silence for 40 years. And I am tempted by this. As much, I am very talkative. I come from a Panamanian ancestry, very loquacious people. But this silence is soothing to the soul to practice. So that's why I've been kind of silent on social media. And I'm going to continue that. But I do love everybody here and want to connect. I want to share real quick something from our company, Purium. We have this new product called Aqua Vibrance, and it's been developed. It's a mineral infusion for optimal hydration and cellular support. It improves body conductivity. So this relates to the breatharian process. It's been something I've been studying for a while, of the exclusion zone waters, which are like this liquid crystal jelly that has a positive charge on one side and a negative charge on the other. This is part of the body battery and the way towards breatharianism. So it improves the body's ability to transport electrolytes and energy efficiently, and then reduce surface tension, which mimics the natural spring water structure and makes it easier for the cells to absorb. And then also improved oxygen absorption, because everything is about oxygen. Really, oxygen, minerals, those electrolytes, that's the electricity, the good cellular waters. And then, time out in the sun, grounding, these things are just a natural part of energy medicine that is evolving. The conversation is evolving. This is what the breatharian path is about. We can all do this through practices of fasting, meditation, seminal retention, exercise, grounding, time in the sun, sun gazing, sunbathing, and rebuilding, detoxifying our cellular matrix and infusing it with clean, electrolyte-rich water. And this turns on the body battery. So, thank you, Tales Adventures. Yes, thank you. I enjoy doing the live streams. It's very much my pleasure to connect here. It's basically my opportunity to socialize. I'm more or less am a hermit in a garden 90% of the time, or in the forest. So, and I do crave more community. So I'm glad to have it here. Thank you all. So, that's something, if you're interested in Aqua Vibrance, hit me up. Also doing coaching calls. It's a great time for cleansing, juicing. We have the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. We got this. We got, the Aqua Vibrance. We got, I've been doing the Juice Guru Institute stuff if you want to customize juice cleanse. So just putting that out there for the all. If you cleanse during the change of the season, even if you just do this on your own, all these tools I want, just to have available to you. As the circadian rhythms are changing, there's usually a detox, and the whole thing with virus and bacteria and parasites is they get rooted in when we have this bioaccumulation from pus producing foods, or pussy foods like milk and meat and cheese and all that stuff. And so you want to go in and astringe and cleanse the cells and detoxify and juice. Let's see. Brother says, any recommendations for things for blood circulation or sweating? Are you having like poor circulation, brother? Or it sounds like if you're sweating, maybe too like an over circulatory thing. And definitely you could work with like yarrow, because the interesting thing with yarrow is it will thicken the blood if it's too slippery, and it will thin it if it's too thick. So, whole week. I'm going to try a whole week juice cleanse. Excellent, brother. Let me know if you'd like guidance in that. I do offer coaching and consulting, as I've said. So, yeah, and I think right now I'm going to go in and make some juice. Just trying to think, I'd like to share a little bit. We'll share a little bit of herbs on the way. It's been the herbs I've been talking about for a while, the last few weeks, because we've had some snows and some cold weather that have kind of snapped us back, stunted the spring process. But I think this strong is going to really open up. And look at the beautiful almond blooming here, and the beautiful donut peach here. There's another almond down there. So that's fun. And my almonds are like, they made milk from them, and it tastes like amaretto. Let's see. Nabi has said I have to I'd love to join, but I'm in a crowded place. So beautiful. Hey, great to hear from your sister. Been thinking about you and always sending you tons of love. You're just definitely one of my my greatest heart friends. So, love you, sis. Let's see, Tails Adventure says, yes, use your garden. Show us. Okay. So we'll take a little tour of a few things just as we're on our way to the kitchen here. So right here, let's see. Hope everyone can see that well. Someone on the last one could not see the plants. This is nascent, but this is comfrey, or Symphytum officinalis, and this is an excellent herb for mineralizing or healing bones. It's also called bone knit. And I have a story about my dog Coco, who got her leg ran over by a car. We took her to the vet, and they said, this is terrible. This is going to be several $1,000s worth of reconstructive surgery, or amputation. And I was like, I don't like those ideas. So I took her home. We gave her a compress of comfrey every day, and comfrey tea and homeopathic comfrey. And my wife kept up the treatment. I went to go trim cannabis out in California, and when I came back 2 weeks later, Coco came running up to me. So the one warning is, though, it will crystallize kidney stones in your kidneys because it's so mineral rich. So this is the thing about herbalism. There's the herbs of man. There's the herbs. What is the herbs of earth, the herbs of man, and the herbs of heaven. And the herbs of man are things that are more like foods, that are like dandelion maybe, or violet, that are just going to be nourishing, detoxifying, more helpful. Herbs of earth be ones like comfrey that you can use for specific, indications, but you couldn't use daily. And then there's the herbs of heaven, and those are more of your tonic herbs like goji berry and reishi mushroom and pine needles. Pine needles are high in MSM and terpenes and all kinds of good stuff. So here, this other one here is curly dock, or yellow dock. You can see that the leaf margin curls. So you can eat these greens. They're high in oxalates, so even though I'm fond of raw food, I would suggest cooking this one. And if you wanted to use it in a liquidarian fashion, you could steam it down and cook it down a little bit, and then blend it in a blender with water, and then strain it out. And it's kind of lemony and like spinach. And then the root you can use, in instances of like iron deficiency and anemia, because they'll help the body take up iron. And then the greens are really rich in iron, so it's a good one to know. It grows all over the country. One of the 13 herbs that follows the human footprint everywhere. There's grass. There's grass all over the place. You can see some grass down there, maybe in the pond area. All the grasses of the earth you can juice. What's this homeboy doing? Just checking someone up at the road. So, as I was saying before, you've got pine trees. Pine are high in terpenes, high in vitamin C. Terpenes are good digestive, respiratory neuroplasticizers. Tails Adventure says, what's good for iron? Oh, dock leaves, dandelion, sea moss, seaweeds, good vegan sources of iron. Let's see here. We also have carpets of alfalfa here. So alfalfa, this plant can have roots as much as 200 feet deep. So it mines it from a huge soil profile. It's in the pea family. Some of the peas are toxic, so it's good to know what you got. Don't eat something if you don't know what it is. But alfalfa is super nutrient dense. It's called the kelp of the land because it's so rich in nutrients. So I throw that into my juices quite regularly, and as well as dandelion. Got our dandelion here. Super detoxifying to the liver and the kidneys. You know, very mineral rich food. And our liver and our kidneys really get impacted by all of the, environmental toxins that we absorb as bioaccumulators. And that's part of this breatharian understanding, is like the detoxification of all this bioaccumulation that affects our nervous system, affects our thinking, affects our endocrine system, affects our health. Because our ancestors used to at least feast and famine, and they were eating more of these wild foods and things that are more potent in their nutrition and their phytochemistry and their detoxification potential. So, trying to work with wild foods is really great. I mentioned grasses. All the grasses of the earth you can juice. Super mineral dense. Like, I think it has like 98 of the 102 minerals you need. The first foods that formed were, things like spirulina, algae, and then, or the first kind of plant ancestors. There was algae, and then seaweeds that led to grasses. And, then you also had things like, lichens, spore-laden plants, like ferns. Those were the first plants, and so hence they're the first foods of everything. And the reason why a cow has protein is because it eats a bunch of grass. So there's lots of protein and the building blocks that you need in these things. But really, you can absorb them even from the air. They did studies, and they found that people that lived close to the ocean, because of the rotting seaweed, had higher iodine levels than other places, because they were just absorbing it through the air. Because you breathe so much, I forget how many liters of oxygen, or gallons of oxygen you breathe in every day, and there's all this fine particulate matter. There's actually nutrient in the air. And really, we're energy beings, and it's more important that we have like this gas exchange, having an open diaphragm from being empty, to be able to breathe diaphragmatically. And with the lungs, this opens up more of the electrical potential, but getting the structure right, getting the detox, getting the alkalinity, these things are what get us there. Tales of Adventure, your streams always have so much knowledge. I love it. Thank you. It's been building in me for years, and I must spill it out to my community. Thank you for being an open vessel. So here we have they're just starting to come, so you can't really see them, but this is Eastern Redbud. And you can eat these flowers. You can't really, it's a pea family thing. You can't really eat the peas, but you can eat the flowers, and it's just fun to eat flowers to feed your emotional body. Lilacs. You can also make, here come the little lilac buds, and you can make, lilac teas, lilac, shrubs. A shrub is like a mocktail, and you just like add some apple cider vinegar and a little maple syrup and a little bubbly water, and then you have like a herbal, non-alcoholic kind of mocktail. So that's some of the things we like to do. Yeah, so I'm going to bring these oranges in and juice now. And I'm going to keep it kind of short, I think. Have to get ready for work tomorrow. So that's what today's recipe, to share a recipe, hopefully for your benefit. Do a couple things here. just show you my kind of what I eat in a day as a breatharian, liquidarian, or at least my main stuff. Let me see here. So, pardon my. So I'm going to start off with making a clementine, carrot, ginger, lemon juice. So this will be great for, the orange and the lemon will be great astringency to cleanse the lymphatic system and detoxify cellularly. The beets, I'll be working in the garden for the next 2 days, so high in nitric oxide, so they'll help with recuperation, which you can also just get from nose breathing, which I try to practice all the time when I'm working, when I'm exercising particularly. And that's kind of like, that's like nitric oxide for your car, how it's like it revs your car more. Same with nitric oxide for your body. And then carrots, and that'll just give me, carotenes and high nutrition. There's people who've done bodybuilding and cancer reversal with carrot juice. So, get this started here. It's gonna make annoying sounds. But, so I'm gonna do that. And then I also have here, this is the other thing I'm going to grab out. So this is a tea made with mimosa bark, which is a Chinese traditional herb called collective happiness plant. It's supposed to, help. It's really great for the heart and for, sort of happiness. Good night, Tales Adventures. It also has hawthorn, rose petals, and cinnamon. So this is going to be the base tea for my superfood drink. Pop this back in the fridge here, which I'm going to put some of my more Purium product placement here. This dark berry protein powder, which is, it's not really got that much, a lot of people hit me up and like, why are you taking protein powders? This is like mostly incredible superfood fruits. Oh man, my eyes are washed out from being outside. But this thing like almond berry and, acerola cherry and all these superfruits. So I like to work with superfoods. I always have, because they're wild foods, essentially. They're the best foods. And most of these are all cultivars. These are all things people made. These things are more the wild predecessors. So I love this philosophy from working with wild foods, that when you imbibe them, they impart to you some of their wild dignity, some of their wild resilience, and I found it to be true. So anyway, I'm going to do a whole bunch of chopping now, and you kind of got the other last thing I'm going to put into that Purium thing is some of the Biometic, this is the only product on the market clinically shown to clean glyphosate out of the body. So even if you're eating all organics and stuff, unless you're growing it all and you really you're sourcing like super pure and clean, then you most likely have glyphosate exposure, because it's used as drying agents in organic foods. It's, sprayed upwind or upstream from farms, or downwind or downstream from farms that spray, owned by the same companies. So really good to work with some clean foods like the Purium foods for detoxification. So hit me up if you're interested in that too. And so anyway, I'll make 2 of these I'm also going to put apothecary in there, which is another Purium product. This is tart cherry juice, super high in ORAC minerals, antioxidant, longevity stuff. So I'll put that all into this juice, and that'll be my juice for the next 2 days while I'm working, along with these superfood drinks. And then I also will make a elixir with things like I make this nut milk out of hazelnuts and coconut, both alkaline nuts. So we keep that alkaline. I use alkali Dutch cacao because it's more alkaline, keeps me on the non-acidic side, and reishi mushroom and some maple syrup, and it makes a lovely, delicious kind of chocolate coffee drink. I do that a number of ways. I can do it like with maybe a little bit of like blueberries and cordyceps mushrooms, or and then I'll have some seaweed and a little bit of lettuce with dressing, like chips, like maybe 3 or 4 leaves of lettuce. And that's pretty much what I have every day. I also have ginseng. This is one of my dailies, and I like to get the Korean ginseng because they're properly grown and harvested. They're more mature roots, and this is in royal jelly. So this is I don't sell this or represent this in any ways like I do with Purium or anything, but I do like this brand and the quality of that ginseng, and it's a warming tonic herbs, one of these foods of heaven that's going to nourish the 3 treasures of Jing, Shi, and Shun, which are the Chinese 3 treasures of basically your genetic fortitude, your qi, and your spirit. So with that, I'm going to sign off, make this juice, get myself ready for tomorrow. Thank you all for joining. Hope you got something from this today. Sending lots of love and light to you all, and all the blessed. Hit me up if you would like to get a coaching call or cleanse going or anything. And until next time, be well and practice silence. Get off the internet. Peace.